who is a consulting, strategy, and operations senior manager at Deloitte from Netherlands. For over 10 years, Jordan has been leading the line of customer and market strategy with his clients around United Kingdom, Dubai, South Africa, Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, and Spain. He has plenty of experience in market strategy designs related to sales and marketing service for his clients. Furthermore, he is an expert in channel management, marketing and service optimizations, business cases, doing model follow-ups, process optimizations, and performance management. Hoping to receive an accurate development throughout the conference, we would appreciate it if you turn off all your electronic devices. Now, without further ado, we welcome Jordan Bish with a big round of applause.
And you all speak English. Eh? I'm so happy. I was doing this presentation like 3 weeks ago in Bogota, in Deloitte, Bogota. And I don't know whether they understood fully what I was saying. So for me, yo puedo hablar en español, pero muy básico. So it was kind of, trying back and forth to make it work. Guys, I'm really happy to be here. I am from Amsterdam. Do you guys know where Amsterdam is? What country? Why does nobody say Holland? Because normally when I say that, people say, I am from Holland. But, there's a difference between those countries. Because Holland is not a country. Holland is a province in my country. But you have the North Holland, South Holland, and in North Holland is where I live. I live in Amsterdam. You guys know Amsterdam? Tell me, what is it famous for? Yeah, I did it. So, I'll show you a small introduction video, because of course there are a couple of famous things here, no? Nuestro equipo en football, which we lost against Spain. The bicycles, which literally get stolen every day. The windmills, and come on, don't tell me that you guys don't know what this is. Of course, a lot of people smoke weed. I'm really sorry, but actually we don't. It's the foreigners that do. It's the people that come from Peru that go into these coffee shops and smoke weed. And this is actually Holland, and Amsterdam is here, and this is my country. So it's a very small video.
Holland. It's time for the difference between Holland, the Netherlands, and a whole lot more. The correct name for this tulip growing, windmill building, hagelslag eating, container ship moving, ocean conquering nation is the Netherlands. The confusion is understandable. The general region has been renamed a lot over 1,000 years, including as the Dutch Republic, the United States of Belgium, and the Kingdom of Holland. But it's not just history that makes this country's name confusing, because the Netherlands is divided into 12 provinces. Groningen, Drenthe, Overijssel, Gelderland, Limburg, Noord-Brabant, Zeeland, which by the way is the Zeeland that makes this Zeeland new, Friesland with the Dwarf Artslands flags, Flevoland, Utrecht, and here's the confusion, North Holland and South Holland. These provinces make calling the Netherlands Holland like calling the United States Dakota. Though unlike the Dakotas, which are mostly empty, save for the occasional jackalope, the two Hollands are the most populated provinces and have some of the biggest attractions like Amsterdam and Kokenhof. Chances Nederland, which sounds like they'd rather be called the Netherlanders speaking Netherlandish. Meanwhile, next door in Germany, they're Deutsche sprechen Deutsch in Deutschland, which sounds like they'd rather be called Dutch. This linguistic confusion is why Americans call the Pennsylvania Dutch Dutch, even though they're Germans. To review, this country is the Netherlands, its people are Dutch, and they speak Dutch. There is no country called Holland, but there are provinces of North and South Holland. Got it? Great, because it's about to get more complicated. The Netherlands.
I don't want to confuse you all. I know it's more fun. This was like the highlight of my presentation. But let's get back to it. So normally I give this presentation, or not this one, but just presentations in general, to a much more boring, older audience. So I'm really happy that I can actually present to younger people, which makes me sound really old. So, who am I? I got already a long introduction. I'll sum it up. I started studying in Groningen, which if you remember was up north. I got my master's in information technology there. But information technology, I don't know exactly what you guys are studying, but I think it's undergrad, no? So you have a lot of different courses still. Right, so I thought information technology was really exciting, it was really boring. So I decided to do my master thesis, not in information technology, but in marketing, which was a lot more exciting because I got to go to South Africa in the wine industry, tasting a lot of wines and evaluating how that business could grow. I mean, that was for me, I lived there for half a year when I was 23, 24, and that was a very, very good time. After that, I moved back to the Netherlands. I started living in Amsterdam, which is about 8 years ago, and I started working for Deloitte. I'll get into Deloitte later because I really want to get clear what Deloitte is and what it does, because I'm sure that you're going to get it wrong. That would really disappoint me, but I'm sure that's going to happen. So, I've been working for Deloitte in consulting, and then I got bored again after 6-7 years. I get bored quite quickly. Although I saw all these different companies and it was great, I actually wanted to do what you guys did. I wanted to go to study again. So I did my MBA, and I did my MBA in Instituto de Empresa in Madrid, which I know I don't speak Spanish still because it was in English. And I finished my MBA in December last year. And after the MBA, I really wanted to work in the UX. That for me was in consulting. If you're going to work in like New York or one of these places, it's a lot of fun, and it's also very good for your career and a lot of experience. But unfortunately, I could not make that work. It's not that they didn't want to have me, but you know, the economy wasn't going very well, and I had many conversations. It was difficult, so I had to wait. So I was thinking, what am I going to do while waiting? So I decided, and I forgot one important point. I met a Colombian girl during my MBA. So I moved to Bogota, where I currently live temporarily until I have the New York thing fixed. So I actually got the New York thing fixed, and I'm moving in July to New York to work for 2 years. But in the meantime, in this 6 months, I've been working for foundations. Because what I really want, so I took an unpaid leave, so I'm not getting paid. I probably have a lot less money than you guys. And I go to foundations, and I try to apply what I've learned in my career, which is consulting, which we will talk about. It's basically making the companies, work better, making them more professional, making sure that the service or the product that they deliver to the beneficiaries is actually good. You guys know yo creo? You guys know Techo para mi país? That's famous, no? That's a famous foundation, I think, in Latin America. So they actually came to me and said, we have a lot of trouble with getting money to build these houses that we build, because they have a lot of companies that give them money, and then they build a house with volunteers, and that's it. But if the economy is not going very well, then budgets get smaller, and some companies say, sorry, not this year. So they were trying to look for new funds to make sure that they can build houses in the future. So with them, I did really consulting stuff. And guys, where are you? Because in consulting, just to be very basic, in consulting, in almost every project that we have, what you do is you look at a company, how they are performing right now. You look at the components that can improve, and you define a plan on how to get to the improvements. Very basically, in very simple terms. So that's what I did for Techo para mi país. I'm still doing. I work for Yo Creo in Colombia. Has anybody heard of Yo Creo in Latin America? See? This is, I don't know whether you guys know this guy. Again, this is my first day in Lima, right? So as a foreigner, when you think of Europe, it's one country. Europe is all the same whether you're in Spain or in the Netherlands. I think of Latin America as one. So when something happens in Colombia, it probably happened here as well. So in Yo Creo in Colombia, Pedro Medina, who owns that foundation, he was the former president of McDonald's. And he was a teacher at Los Andes, which is a famous university in Colombia. And he asked his students, who is going to be in Colombia after 5 years? Where do you see yourself in the future? And nobody raised their hands. Everybody wanted to move abroad because they believed that their opportunities were greater abroad and not in Colombia. And he got so frustrated with that he decided to quit his work, to teach on a temporary basis, and do research into good things of Colombia, and trying to sell those good things to the people. So if they believe in those good things, then often when you believe in something, something will happen, something will change. So he started that in 2002. And me not knowing a lot about Latin America, but I do know that in 2002, Colombia wasn't the safest place to be. And right now, it's starting to grow, it's starting to develop. I live in Bogota, and like some places are really improving, and that's partially responsible. He contributed to that. The third foundation, again, I promise you this is a lot more interesting than my thought. Thank you. The third thing that I do is I work for Compartamos con Colombia, which is a consulting firm as well, but they only consult foundations. So I went to the big one project I really like. They had a concurso, you call it. They had a competition for social innovations. So you could sign up for this competition. If you had a good idea on how to improve housing, you could submit it, and you could get money to start your own business. And they had 5 winners in this competition, and they got like a lot of money, like $80,000 per project to start up their business. And what I'm doing is I'm helping those entrepreneurs help improve their business model. So how can they make money with their social innovation? And because this big pile of money needs to be divided, and a certain percentage, if you have a good business model, you get more money. That's basically, so I was in my introduction. So I'm working with those guys, and I'm actually moving back in 2 weeks to Amsterdam, where I will be getting my visa, because I will be working for Deloitte in New York for the coming 2 years. And I like playing golf, and I like to fish. Who knows what fish this is? Anybody? You're close to the sea. You eat it every day. No. When you go to eat sushi, you eat it every day. It's tuna. This was only a 100 kilo tuna, but you have them of 500 kilo. I love fishing. I go to Croatia and to some of those countries just to fish. I'm a little bit sick in the head. So let me continue. So what are we going to do today? And I know that these things can be really boring. They gave me 2 hours, and I felt sorry for you guys when I was like compiling all the slides. But let's try and do it a bit quicker, because I have till 8, I think. So anyways, it's going to be quicker. Your goals is, from now on, when somebody says Holland, you say no, it's the Netherlands. That's one, you already learned it. Learn more about Deloitte and what we do. Learn a little bit about the global and financial situation that we are in, especially in Europe. Because normally I think if you have somebody to speak here, it's an American or not necessarily a European, it's a bit further away. I assume. We're going to look at like how consumers are changing their preferences, and how that changes the business landscape. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about my area, which is customer market strategy. I will get back to that, what it exactly means. We're going to look at like an example of what we actually do. Como pricing strategy. What does that mean? Give us a client example, etc. So I will talk about that. And then I had a small pricing case, but I don't know whether we have time. When? Tell me, what does Deloitte do? I want to hear keywords.
Accountant.
Accountant. Oh, I love that one.
Audit.
Accountant.
Audit.
Audit. ¿Qué más? Big Four. See, but those are auditors. No, they are part of the Big Four. It's a group of KPMG. ¿Qué más? What am I doing here? Who am I? Ah, Jordan, you're a consultant. Consulting. Okay, and the last one is tax advice. Right? Those are the things, but this is, for us, this is so frustrating because everybody says this. And it's true, and we're really good at it. But for consultants, it's a bit boring, I think. I don't want to offend anybody. But we're very famous for this. But actually in the US and in my country as well, we're really growing in the consulting area, like enormously. And for us, like for me, audit especially, you're reviewing financial statements, right? Go ahead, if you have questions, please, I love it.
What kind of consulting do you do?
I'll get to it. I'll get to the consulting area. Let me first tell you what we are not. We are not reviewers of financial statements. Those are the audit guys. And those were, that's how we started and we got really big. But consulting, doing projects to improve a company, which is basically in one sentence what we do, is very different. So I'll get to it, what we do. But so when you think of Deloitte next time, yeah, we do own it. You need to know it. But we do a lot of consulting. So a little bit about Deloitte and how we're structured. I'm going to skip some of these slides that say we're really good because we're we're the biggest firm in terms of consulting in the market. Have you heard of McKinsey? Right, it's a famous firm, McKinsey or Bain or Boston Consulting Group. Those are very famous consultancy firms, and what they do is they give a lot of high-level strategy advice. And when I say strategy, it's kind of, where do I need to sell my products? Or what products should I sell? Should I sell in Peru, or should I sell in Colombia, or should I sell in India? Right, so those high-level questions. And then the consulting firms come up with an answer, and they give the report, and good luck, client. Good luck going there, implementing it. And the one thing that makes us a bit different is that we just do not just provide the advice, but we also say, so you're going to go to that country, let us help. You need this new information system, let us help implement. So, and that's actually the work that I've been doing as well. I will give you, I think it's more interesting, and it's not part of my slides. I'm going to give you an example of a project that I did in Europe, which is in the area of, it's called service effectiveness. And it's very easy, because service effectiveness is when you go to a hotel. No, like an example, I checked in my hotel yesterday, boutique, I think it's called. And I told them, my girlfriend's gonna come Friday. Is she gonna have any trouble getting in? Like, no, but it's $12 additionally per day. $12 additionally. What kind of advantage are they getting, besides getting me pissed? From $12 a day. It's just a small thing. There's no additional cost being made. And for me, if they would have said, she's welcome, would be so much nicer. I would look at the hotels and they're nice, they're friendly, they give service. And now I'm thinking, they charge money for things, I'm not going to come back here. And improving the way service is done is basically my area, what I'm focused on. So I'll give you an example of this thing. And so Deloitte, so what do we do besides being big? We provide advice to these different industries. So this is my industry, consumer and industrial products. So mainly I give advice to Nike, to Canon, to all the big brands that clothes or whatever we wear every day. Then we have energy and resources, which I think maybe Deloitte Arca is más grande, in mining, etc., etc. So that's probably big here. Technology, media, and telecoms, all the big telecom providers or Microsoft, etc. Financial services industry, banking, etc. Life sciences and healthcare, all the hospitals and the pharmaceuticals, and then finally the public sector, which is like the government we also have. And this is to show you how incredibly big we are, and I'm a bit proud of that, because in every country I get, when I got to Bogota for the first time in my life, I went to Deloitte and I'm treated as a Deloitte employee. And this is very nice if you're away from home and somebody treats you like home. So we have more than 170,000 employees around the world. Now that is huge. And you can see we're represented everywhere on the map. And consultants travel a lot as well. So normally in my country, which is very tiny, I travel to the UK or to Finland or the countries that were mentioned before for projects. So it's sometimes exciting, sometimes a bit boring, but that's what we do. So I said more than 170,000 employees, more than 28 billion, a huge, huge company. And having a big name, we also serve the bigger companies, as I said, Nike and Canon. I did the strategy for Canon, which is cameras in Europe. And it's very nice to see and to work with like 8 different industries. So this is how we are. See, this is a matrix. So these are our areas: audit, consulting, financial advisory, tax, innovation. Innovation is new. And then we deliver to these different the different industries that I just mentioned, right? So if you start working for Deloitte, you can choose. I want to do projects for the telecom or technology, or I want to do projects in the consumer business. Very interesting. What type of consulting? So consulting consists of, in our case, 3 areas: strategy and operations, which is our area; human capital, which looks at how does a certain change affect the labor force, the people that work there. Do people need to be fired? Do we need to have training? All those human-related areas. And finally, technology. So if we're going to implement like an information system or an application, they get involved. And so we are strategy and operation. I am part of strategy. So this is, all these different services, supply chain. How do you get your goods to the client, for instance, or operational excellence? How can you sell your goods cheaper? Or finance strategy, what kind of loans and debt should we have in the ideal situations? Finance operations, shared services. All right, then we go to strategy. We have different areas. So I am in customer and market strategy. So I look at what kind of customers, what kind of products. Then we have corporate strategy, which is very high level, also a bit like mergers and acquisitions. What is the direction that we need to take as an organization? Do we need to grow by buying another organization? Or do we need to grow by selling more? Or those decisions. And public strategy is strategy for the government, public policy, etc. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this area today. Just if you've heard of those companies, as I said, McKinsey, Bain, which is breadth of capabilities, very high, very strategy focused, and we're up there. But what we do as well is we try to implement a little bit more of what we say. So if we have like big plans of how an organization should change, then we also get involved in making it actually happen. And remember one thing: making something actually happen is the hardest thing there is. Saying how you should change, it's fairly easy. But doing it is something else. Well, so these are the areas. I'm not going to go through my area. No, I'm going to go through that later. Really cool. We just opened a university. So this is a university just for Deloitte people who go there to get like training. It's in Texas, I think, or somewhere in the US. And then we have all kinds of methodologies, and we publish articles, etc. All right, so bear with me with this one, because I'm talking a little bit about the economy and the economy changing. If you don't get something like abbreviations, then let me know and I'll try to explain it to you. So basically we're saying the main points here is it's not going all that well. It's not going all that well in Europe, especially with our debt situation. Our governments owe a lot of money. People do not have as much money to spend right now in Europe. So what like the biggest trend that we see, and it's been a trend that's not new, right? This is not mathematically correct what I'm saying. Going to the emerging markets, going to Latin America is a huge opportunity for us. And also me being here and learning how people do business, learning Spanish un poquito, I think is gonna help, because I truly believe that most of the world's growth is gonna come from China and it's gonna come from Latin America. My personal opinion, India. And so there's not as much income. We don't believe in the economy, consumer confidence as much, and that of course, if we don't believe it's gonna go better and we're not gonna spend, and it's like a vicious cycle where you get it. So businesses have a lot of challenges to cope with. If people are spending less, how are we going to get money off of them, right? So these are the challenges that basically clients come to us with. So what we publish as Deloitte is trends that we see in the world, or trends that we see in a certain industry that we believe will change the landscape. And with those predictions, we try to create value for our customers. So if we're saying one thing, then we're trying to, make things different, make a value proposition for those clients. So we need to set the right priority based on our predictions that we do, and then we need to ensure successful execution of what we think. So where are we now? Gross domestic product, GDP. Anybody know what that is? Okay. Much we spend in the country, in the legal market, like whatever we produce, all summed together in one country or in the world. And so it allows us to compare how we're doing as a country or the world as a whole compared to other things. So we compare the GDP of the United States, the European Union, Brazil, Russia, India, China, which is abbreviated as BRIC, and we compare them to each other. And as you can see, the growth rates of Latin America is huge. It's really, really huge. And we are, of course, with the financial crisis, which occurred in Europe in 2009, we see huge opportunities to grow in those areas. So, what are the main conclusions here? Emerging markets show continued growth, great opportunity to go to. And if you have a company and you are in a certain market, I'm in Lima, I see my market share. My market share is my revenues compared to how other revenues are of other companies. I see that growing, but in Europe it's declining. That's basically the main message. So, what do we see in 5 developments? The Eurozone will gain momentum, but in 2013, which is this year, and actually it does, but it's like 1 or 2% compared to, I don't know, 6% or something in Latin America. Fiscal policy becomes more tight because loaning debt, everybody has debt in Europe right now, Greece, etc. Social tension in Europe. I mean, I've lived in Spain, and if there's one country that is incredibly divided, where one Barcelona hates Madrid and Madrid hates Barcelona. I mean, there's no such thing as one country, and that gives a lot of tensions, especially when you have one coin. We have the euro, and before that, every single country had their own coin, which is it's a change. Growth in emerging Europe will slow down. So emerging Europe is on the east side of Europe. We call Eastern Europe, which is Poland, Czech Republic, all on that side. It's also declining. Whereas like 2 years ago, that was the growth area for us. And finally, insecure economic outlook. So this leads to like challenges that we are facing. Fine. And as I said, this is the consumer confidence. So how much faith we have in the economy. And the message is, it's really not that good. But my area, the consumer business or Nike, etc., in my country has done better than average compared to other industries. So what's going to happen in 2000? What do you think is going to happen in 2020? What do you think? Give me one trend that you think will happen in 2020 overall in the world. Can you think of something? China will take over the world. Latin America become one.
There will be another crisis.
Another crisis? Huh? ¿Qué más? Uh-huh. Yeah. That resources disappear, see? So these are some of the things that we see as a company. We've done some research and we see these changes, and it's not saying these are all the changes that we're expecting. No, we think that these are the changes that we think are happening, and they change the way we do business, right? So it's not like everything. And it's not like major things that are like incredibly mind-boggling. Increasing wealth in emerging markets. I think we have concluded that. Changing consumer patterns. Sustainability, which I don't know, do you have a class about sustainability already? Sustainability, because that for me is a very hot topic. Aging population in developed market. Remember that we had a world war in 1940 till 1945 in Europe? And after that, what people do is they have a lot of babies when it goes better. But that's exactly this point in time where my parents, they're getting older and they're getting out of the market, right? So I'll talk a little bit about that. And finally, as you guys are probably more used to, online, we do everything online, we buy things online, etc. That's going to increase. In a nutshell. So, let me quickly show this. So prediction 1, women in emerging markets spend more than the whole of Europe. I mean, so we foresee that specifically that area will show the most growth. They will have children later. Right now, I mean, my parents had children when they were 18, 19. I don't know what the average age is in Latin America. But my friends, I'm 32. My friends are not yet getting kids. So you can see that going later and later, so they are longer in the labor force. Big trend. Bueno, ¿qué más? Senior citizens of the years will be the largest growth market. As I said, baby boom. Right now it's huge how many older people we have. Also for foundations, as I was saying in the beginning, because I've been helping foundations, getting donations from the old people that do not work anymore is an amazing market. And actually one thing I said today, they thought was really funny, but it's really true. In my country, who can guess what the number one way to get donations is? Well, what's the hottest item right now? The easiest way to get donations? Just an idea. Now you're not going to guess it anymore. It's getting those old people sign up on their will, saying, you're probably going to die within 20 years from now. When you die, would you donate 10% of your wealth to this donation that does well? And when people get older, they want to do something good. They want to go to heaven, right? So this is it's a bit bizarre, but it's actually what's currently happening. Obesity drives shift to healthier products, which is actually something that I am involved in as well. Does anyone know? Do you have CrossFit? CrossFit, Aka? Oh, this crazy sport that makes you work out really, really hard in 40 minutes. And I cannot eat rice, I cannot eat papas, I cannot eat pan. And it makes my food sometimes more expensive because I need to buy certain items. But what you see is because, especially in the United States, of course, a lot of people tend to be a bit bigger, to say it politely. And right now it's a bit changing where people are actually buying foods that are more healthy. Not necessarily going to McDonald's, but actually buying foods that have certain proteins, etc. And we see that is something that is going to continue. So when you do your shopping, when a package says this is healthy, and the other one doesn't have that label, then we think it's more likely you will, given a certain price, that you will buy that product. Business will collaborate with regulates and go beyond regulation. This is saying all the companies think that they're going to get more regulation and more regulation, especially again in the US. Because when we're producing goods, we cannot just throw them in the river anymore. So we need to. There are certain rules of the game, and that's going to increase and increase. So it's not making business easier, but sometimes it's, especially environmental, it's very necessary. Okay. And this is nothing new. Online sales will double in Western markets, although everybody and internet penetration rates are probably about highest in my country in Europe. But still, I don't know about you guys, I am only buying like gifts online or send an online e-card that I pay for something, but really clothes, I'm not buying still online. Maybe a lot of girls maybe do, but does anybody buy clothes online? No. I know that, like, what I've seen is, do you know Zara?
Yeah.
Which is a Spanish. What I see that they do is they create like this online doll, and you give your measures to this doll, so you can fit clothes to actually how they should fit to your own tamaño. And then you make it easy, because if I buy something I don't want to return it, it's too much work. So we're saying as technology gets better, as people get more internet penetration, we see that sales will double, at least in the US and in the EU. Probably, I don't know, in emerging markets it will come as well, but not as soon. So what are our priorities? I'm going to skip this, because I want to show you like some fun stuff. Not that this is not fun, but this is kind of, no. It's also fun, but it's more detailed. I don't think that's right. Let me skip this a little bit. It's how we deal with those trends and what kind of products we're going to produce in order to cope with those trends. Let's get to the really interesting bit, which is my area, which is customer and market strategy. So what is it you do, Jordan? Well, we also look at trends, but we look at trends more on a micro level. Still on a high level, but not as high level as the prediction of people getting older. I'll speak a little bit about it. So connectivity. Same as what I said on getting more connected, getting more online. So we see more and more consumers using the internet to search things. Individualism. Good example. Nike has you can customize your shoes. No? You go to the store and you can have blue on right side, whatever you want, and spend too much money on them. But we want to have something that is designed by us and not everybody wears. It's a very hot topic right now. So anything, you probably have mochilas. The ones that I cannot get used to, that guys wear those, but all respect, it's probably nice. But maybe there's a way that you can personalize it, like your name or whatever. Experience. What kind? Do you have one about this here, or there's another one? Starbucks. You do have Starbucks here.
Yeah.
Every time I say Starbucks in Colombia, it's no tenemos. Juan Valdez. But it's the same ideas. You pay too much money for a cup of coffee, but it's the experience and it's nice music, you can chat, so that's why you pay a bit more. So companies cannot just sell a product anymore, but they need to sell something additionally. Debit, credit, this is something to do with the amount of money that we have in order to spend. So although we don't have a lot of money, we're tending to get more credit. That's why we're in a financial crisis. To spend. This is sustainability, what I said earlier. So we're actually, companies right now are really involved in sustainability. And sustainability is, caring about that the goods that you produce do not necessarily have negative effects for anybody. But there are a lot of positive things, and you need to develop sustainability. So a sustainable model, for me, is something that, for instance, green energy for an electrical company. Something that is good for the environment, and we can still use it as consumers. Convenience, 24-hour service, which I like a lot, but sometimes in my country it's not always allowed. Innovation. Innovation is as a hot topic right now, what we see in business, as sustainability. Innovation is basically reinventing the way we do things, to say very generically. So to give you an example, what we Deloitte do in terms of innovation, when you get into my office in Amsterdam, this is seriously true, you get into the elevator and the elevator is a shower. There's no water going on. But it's like a change of environment that makes you think differently. It makes you think out of the box, out of the ordinary. And then at the end of the elevator, you have a little box, and you put your idea to improve something in the box, and then an idea gets chosen, and we're trying to sell that idea on the market. I mean, this is just a small innovation, but it's nice. It's nice. Brand loyalty. This is again nothing new, but it's becoming more important. When you have Starbucks, when you have Pombeles, when you have all these different chains, why would I stay in Starbucks? Is it because I like the music better? Or is it because I like the coffee better? Which I cannot imagine. But you know, you need to create something that keeps your customers. And finally, you know, you have soul, no? We want to spend our soul and get something in return. And you know, a bigger mug of coffee or whatever. So what kind of challenges do we see in the environment? So we see that there's a lot of focus on the top line. And what we mean by top line is there's a lot of focus on getting more revenues. Revenues are top line. Costs are bottom line. Right? So remember that when you have more classes, it's just selling more. Create a compelling and consistent customer experience. As I said with Starbucks. Explore the power of consumer and shopping data. That is so important. Let me tell you why. I was studying in the United States 7 months ago. During my MBA, I went to Kellogg in Chicago, university there. And the professor told me a story which really amazed me. He said in Target, you know Target is a big store. In Target, they made a mistake. What they did is they sent women, congratulations with your baby cars, without their husbands knowing that they were pregnant. I mean, that's not good. And especially in the United States, that can probably get you a lot of, you know, legal trouble. How did they do that? Can somebody, how do you think they did that? How did they know before the husband knew that they were pregnant?
Probably they were like watching like what stuff you're buying for babies, so that they had probably the email or the address, and then they sent the invite.
Exactly. Oh, your English is so good. Yeah, that's exactly what they did. So you know, these women were buying these magazines and you know looking at these stuff, and they were all making like notes, and then there are very smart people that make mathematical models and predict what's going to happen. And apparently, if you know buy certain magazines, show certain behavior, the chances are that you're pregnant. I mean, it's not that difficult to figure out if you're buying. No, that doesn't make sense because the baby needs to be born. But other stuff. So I mean, that to me was like using the data that we have, and you know, we're collecting so much data every day. Every day I need to sign up somewhere, and it's a wealth of data that is currently not necessarily being used. So I'll speak about it a little bit more later. Enable connectivity of customers, which is the online thing. Opportunities of sustainability, so helping companies being sustainable, using technology as a strategic tool, and build a strong base of nurturing of talent. So when you guys, this economy is booming, how much more year do you have in school? Más o menos 2 years or 10 years? 2 years. That's it, 2 years. And you're all going to apply at Deloitte. So I mean, that's, you know, in a booming economy, we're really looking for people. So that's going to be one of the very strong points and in your advantage when you're going to go to the job market. But getting like talent is not always easy for companies. Como talent is good people. I'm not saying that you're not good, but sometimes you need to shift people. Some people go work there and are more happy, and if you're more happy, you perform better, and companies want you more, you have more money. So what we're saying is you need to make sure as a company, when you've heard those trends, that you're not lagging behind. Because if I have it correct, in 2002, to sell 350,000 items, iPods, took 360 days, right? To sell the iPad, no, I'm not doing it correctly. Or am I? No. Actually, to reach 1 million units, to sell 1 million units, it took 360 days in 2002. Right now with the iPad, it took 30 days to sell the product. 1 million units, which is amazing. Which also means that if you're also in the market of selling these items, you really need to act quickly in order to sell as much as quick, because as soon as Apple, did their thing, they took over the market and you're brand loyal, so you're only going to buy Apple and you're not going to buy Samsung, for instance. So it's going to be more effort. So if you are the main message of this slide is our environment is changing so quickly that if companies do not act immediately, do not respond immediately, you're too late. It's amazing. Next big thing, 15 days. No idea what that would be. So, we're saying you need to take these trends and what you do, you need to all take it together, and you need to drive an experience using websites. You need to, come up with a more of a personal approach using about what you know about not their curriculum, but boy, girl, likes financial news, likes swimming, whatever, but use it to create a personal message. Use that data because basically the experience you have in a brick and mortar in a store should be the same as you have online, right? So you need to create that experience online. Use social media as all of you guys do. I assume that you are twittering at the moment how boring this is. Then you need to make sure you deliver. Augmenting the brand is delivering from Starbucks, as I said before, coffee, but it's much more. So delivering, lifting this brand to me a bit more. And then finally, go to the international markets, to the emerging markets to sell more. So that's basically, the whole approach to making businesses more effective. So in my area, I'm going to read this, we want to be recognized as the leading strategy consulting firm that clients and employees choose to work with on the most complex customer-related transformations. So if you go and talk to me about, finances and how to change that ratio or whatever, I have no idea. But if you talk to me about, this is our customer base, what would make them happy? How can we sell more? Or how can we identify a new group of people to sell our product to? That's something that I can really work with. Okay, this is more of a detailed approach. Tomorrow I will be giving a presentation to fellow practitioners, like Deloitte people, and we'll go through this bit boring slide of how do you actually do it, what do you do, that's it. So, the services that we deliver in my area, so what we do is we look at the customer experience, we look at marketing, we look at branding, we look at pricing, we look at products and services, what they should sell, what they shouldn't sell, sales and channels, how much should they sell, for instance, where should they sell, and through what channels, online or offline. And finally, we also produce a lot of customer insights, which is the things I shared with you earlier. So that's actually, do you know how we charge? How does Deloitte make money, do you think? Consulting, how does consulting make money? What do we sell? We don't sell like shoes. Service, exactly. How do you sell service? Can you give me an idea?
With experience.
You sell service with experience. Well, like when for instance, me being here, if you guys were my client and this was a client presentation and I was getting paid for this presentation, we would charge this recording. We would charge probably, about 250 euros. I don't know how much like 700 per hour. So if you go to the toilet, you can do your calculation. I actually did that one time. It's very sick. How much? No. So the message is we charge by hour. And then the customer says we would like you to analyze our prices. So we get all this data and we analyze price. We'll talk about it in a little bit. And that costs about 4 weeks to do. 4 weeks, every day 8 hours. So if you charge this much per hour, it's a very good business to be in. No? But of course you need to sell something that the client can use because you're improving the client business. No? So of course you need to be rewarded for that as well. And this slide is also very Deloitte. It's actually the same as what I said earlier. Remember that I'm in strategy and operations. There are technology guys and there are human capital guys. And often we do projects together, right? Everybody has their own expertise, and that's why it always comes together in all projects that we do. Do we have a break actually? No? Good for me. We only have half an hour anyways. I have a little more. Alright, so we're gonna, you saw those value propositions that we have, service, pricing, and all those areas. I'm gonna talk a little bit about pricing. Pricing is one of the most hot topics right now in my country, and I think acá también, ¿no? Precios. Está bien. So let me. Pricing, and pricing, as I said, is one of the things we do. And we're going to just take a little look at what does that mean, pricing. Is it just what you pay for your product? It's a bit more than that. So for instance, this obviously, do you think the prices differ? Yeah. When you ask a question like that, it's always yes. Yes, they do. Because when you buy Coca-Cola in the supermarket, or you buy Coca-Cola on the beach, which in my country, it's very, very different. So, as you see, 40 euro cents in my country against 3 euros or 4 euros, it's incredible differences. So understanding why companies can actually sell something that is 4 euros on the beach, as the customers could also buy it in the supermarket for 40 cents. So, well, why don't we do that? Probably because it's not always allowed to do so. Being Dutch, actually, we're very cheap. I don't know if you know, but we don't like to spend a lot of money. So we do bring, often you see people bringing their own drinks, and then secretly. And okay, these are the kinds of, if people ask me, what do you produce as consultants? We produce these slides. That's often the output, not a product, not a tangible thing, but slides that sometimes impress or confuse people. And sometimes when they're confused, it's really good because they think you're smart. But that's not always the case. So, these slides, what is saying? We're saying that pricing consists of different, a price is made up of different parts, right? So we have the final price on the left, and then this, if you deduct all the costs, this is what is remaining, right? So you see what kind of cost you have, like promotions, discounts, the actual cost of the product, indirect cost. You know the difference between direct cost and indirect cost. Direct costs are those costs that you directly attribute to a product when you're making it, and indirect cost is the light in the room or something that's not directly related to the product. So this is what consists of a price. Nothing new, but what we see that most companies do is they actually, to improve the price, they're trying to reduce those indirect costs. You know, they're changing the light, they're making it more cheap. The light goes off more frequently, or whatever cost associated. Cheaper products to make it, cheaper components to make it. But what we're saying is, actually, everybody is doing this, and you cannot improve that much on this side anymore. But what you should actually do is go more to this area where you have the promotions and the discounts, and that's where you can gain a lot more. So much more that we're saying that a 1% price improvement generates 12% improvement in operating margin, which is, let's say, when you have your revenues minus your direct whatever. It's a lot of money that you can save. So we're saying when you look at pricing, you have these different areas that we as Deloitte look at. One is price setting. So that's really, defining what your end price will be. Price execution, which what we said were the discounts, the promotions, etc. Pricing technology, because there are right now a lot of companies use technology to decide on their prices. They get a lot of data and some things come out of it, analysis. And finally, in all the Deloitte presentations or any consulting presentations, we always say that this component, organization, the people that are involved, if those are not changing to a certain direction, then nothing will change in whatever you do. And this specific item, it's pricing. So if you change your price, what I mean is that your organization, let's say you need like some expertise in the pricing industry. So that means you need to acquire a resource. So that means that you need to create a job role in your organization. That means that person needs to have metrics, etc. So that needs to be incorporated in the whole advice. So when you sum everything up, you create a pricing strategy. And that's exactly what we do. So we look at all these different components, we do analysis, and we give a report, an advice, and we see how things change and help the companies implement, to say it in very simple terms. So Jordan, how do you do that? So what we do, as I said in the beginning, we often look at how you're doing right now, how stakeholders, how your CEO is thinking, how the company should do. We're looking at competitors, how Pepsi-Cola instead of Coca-Cola is selling their products. We're looking at, a product has different faces, Coca-Cola Cherry, or I don't know how it was called, maybe you don't even know it. Excuse me? I thought we made it. Okay. And we look at the effects of, it was only in the market for social because nobody really liked it. So if they're introducing a new product, the way people perceive how vanilla or berry, whatever it was priced, may influence how we want to price right now. Do you want to price on a high level so people think it's like a luxury drink? Or do you want to price it as a commodity because you want to sell a lot of it and you want to get it in the market? So those are the analysis we do. Look at, who my drinkers of my berry vanilla drink are. What are their needs? How do they perceive the product? How have the Pepsi-Cola or others introduced similar products to the market? How did they do? So we then define, yes, you should do this, or no, you shouldn't do it, or yes, you should do it, but, those are the strategic options, and finally, the execution of the advice that we do. And then often the questions are, should I set the price in the market, or should I price it the same as Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola did for another product? How does pricing fit in my growth strategy? That's why I said I'm going to price it low and I'm going to sell a lot, so I'm growing. What should my discount strategy be, etc. All right, I'm going to skip some slides to just show you the most important things about pricing strategy. And I don't know what slides are coming. I do want to have. Can somebody tell me, how do you decide what the price of a product should be? How can I think, okay, I'm going to sell Coca-Cola. what could the reason be to price it, un sol? Tell me a reason.
Looking in the competition.
Looking at the competition, yeah. Are there prices? I said very good.
I think it could vary, like if your expectations are, if you want it like a luxury drink, then you could, like put it in a higher price.
Yeah.
But if you want it like more common and to gain more profit, you could like put it on.
That's kind of we always have maturity models. So the most basic models when you set your pricing is looking at your costs. Your most advanced way of pricing is understanding your customer and knowing what you can actually ask, which is value oriented, right? So keep those in mind. No, do you have estratos aquí? So in barrios, estrato 1, estrato 2, and then your servicios are depending on where you live. Estrato 6 in Bogota. Estrato 6 pays more than estrato 1. Okay? This is actually, and that was for me very advanced of the Colombian government, because that's exactly what we're saying. We're saying that, you have a certain price that you're willing to pay for a product, and you have a certain price. And based on what you're willing to pay, I'm going to change I can identify a certain segment, right? And if I identify a certain segment of consumers, I adjust my price to be exactly right for that segment. Have you had price elasticity? All right, so price elasticity is basically how much can I change the price and will I see an effect in my sales? So if I raise the price with 1%, if the price is inelastic, it means that you will still buy my product. But if it's elastic, it will actually mean that you will not sell your product anymore if you change the price by 1%. Probably your economy teacher is going to kill me for the simplicity that I apply to all these things, but it's me for you. No. Well, this is a video on how to price, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do something tricky. So basically what we're also saying is you look at all this different information to come up with your prices. So you look at market data, you look at what your customer actually is willing to pay, so you ask them. You ask experts what you can possibly, ask for in a certain market. So for instance, a very nice example was actually my thesis in South Africa, remember, in the wine industry. There are these experts, you probably have them here as well, that taste wine and say, yeah, this one is really good. And if it's really good, you can charge a little bit more for it. And there are also experts that have such a name for themselves. One is Robert Parker, he's a US guy. When he goes to France to taste wines and he says this wine is good, it's impossible to get that wine because it's immediately sold out. But if he says it's bad, you cannot sell the wine to anybody. That's the expert judgment that you do need to take into account what other people think, how you're reviewed, etc. And the most advanced method is price experiments, where you're actually going to do a piloto and see with a certain price in a certain market, you're going to see whether you can sell the product. And if you can apply that to, given if the circumstances are equal, you can probably roll it out. So these are all analyses that I will not bore you with, that we do, where we compare prices. We're always saying in prices. That's also very smart. Bundling. Do you know what bundling is? Creating a bundle of different products. Products that I would not necessarily sell separately. Can you give me one example? Everybody has it. The most famous example of selling a bundle, and it has to do with your computer. Which one? Microsoft Office, right? Excel, PowerPoint, Access. Those get sold with computers. Ideally, you do not have a choice because nowadays you may actually have, but normally you did not have the choice before. It's just on your computer. It's the best way of selling. If you can't sell your product because it's not good enough, Let's put it with a product that people do like, and hey, we are able to sell it. Very powerful. Still goes. This video is, you know, you have Ryanair here? Here or no? It's European, no?
No, but Ryanair by a Romanian company, Romanian Airlines.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, that sucks. Because Ryanair, like in my perception, you know, one time last year I was flying in Spain to the coast. I bought a ticket. I got to the airport, and they're like, I said I do not have my boarding pass with me. Can you print it for me? Normal question. No, that's 80 euros. No, you're kidding me. 80 euros, yeah, that's a policy we have. So, although the flight, when I was searching on the internet, was the cheapest, it became very expensive when I had to pay 80 euros for my boarding pass. And same thing happened to me in the US last year when I was going from Chicago to New York, and I had like luggage, and they said, no sir, you cannot take like carry-on luggage. I cannot take, how am I going to like get my stuff to New York? Yeah, you need to check in. Okay, I'll check in. Yeah, but you need to pay for your check-in luggage. Those are the things, you know, and I'm not saying that that's, you know, creative good, but it's a creative way of, you know, getting money if you cannot ask money for the actual flight. So you see that sometimes they charge for food in an airplane or not. Those are all ways to sell the same product, but be a bit more creative in how you sell it. And I had I don't know the time. I'm not going to show the video. So, okay, we're saying, you know, you can do, this is actually nice. You can be as creative as you want. You can do as much analysis on data as you want. But in the end, what we're doing is very human. It's very psychological. You know, and sometimes psychological things cannot be explained by data. We're sometimes irrational. So we're saying you need to take all these irrational things into account when or at least you need to think about them, you know, if the perception of the Coca-Cola is really, really poor, for whatever reason, then you cannot charge a certain amount. And sometimes it's very difficult to change perception. So no, bueno, last video to a little bit sum up about Deloitte pricing, which is again, I think, loud music.
We are in a serious financial crisis.
De Nederlandse industrie krijgt harde klappen door de kredietcrisis.
It's the economy, stupid.
We're not talking about hundreds of millions or even hundreds of billions now. We're talking about trillions of dollars.
Summed up a little bit of how important pricing right now is for companies. I have a choice for you, and because we have 10 minutes left, we can either, I can talk about a project that I did in Europe to give you a feel of like what actually a project is about, with a really concrete example of what happened. Or I can look at marketing, marketing is another value proposition like pricing that we have. So by a show of hands, would you like me to talk about a product or marketing? Really? Marketing? Bueno. My project was more interesting. But wait, let's do it. Okay. So I'll quickly go through because actually marketing is one of our very hot topics. Always people say marketing. Yay, marketing. Marketing, but this is like the boring area of marketing, right? It's not like how can I create like a real cool product and it sells. No, it's actually looking at data and making data work.
Right then.
Yeah? Hands show for marketing or for project? I knew you wanted to change. Alright, give you a very concrete example. This is what happened. I can actually turn this on. So Canon, the cameras, they came to us in 2007. And it was one of my, not first projects, but it was one of I was very junior when I did it. And they asked us in our service organization. So I'm just getting you, sketching the situation. So Canon sells cameras and printers, right? I'm talking about the printers that they sell, not the cameras. When Canon sells a printer to this school, which they do a lot, to schools, then something goes wrong with the printer. It doesn't work anymore. And they call Canon, could you please come over and fix the printer? And Canon sends out an engineer and fixes the printer. That's basically service, right? That's the after service I'm talking about. But they told us we have so much costs in our service center. Can we reduce that? Can we be smarter in how we fix machines? That's very simply the question. So I went to the UK in London and I sat in their service center and I literally was sitting next to the call center agents that were answering the phones. And this is serious what I heard. So this lady answers the phone. Hello, this is Canon. How can I help you? My printer's not working. Customer, who are you? They go through the process. And then the customer center lady asks, have you checked the power? Have you checked? No, I shouldn't say this. So this is what happens. Oh, your machine is broken? Let's send out an engineer to fix it. Without asking what is wrong, right? Can you imagine how expensive that is? Because an engineer, again in pounds, costs like 60,000 pounds a year. He goes out to this client and he sees the plug is not in the printer. The guy, of course, goes back in his van, drinks the coffee. It's a great life. No, you get paid, you go home, fix a little bit, have a nice chat, go to the movies or whatever. And what they do is, this engineer, I really hope no one from Canada is watching this. And what they do is they fix about 5 printers a day. So imagine if you could increase that number, that could mean that they could do more calls a day, etc. So help me think, interactive. Help me think, how do you think you can improve the business? And I gave it away a little bit already, but how can you make this process simpler and more effective?
Like making the right questions before sending something.
I mean, that's very easy. Making the right question. So, am I going to give you data? All right, so let me put it like this. This is like a ugly funnel, right? They are all incoming service calls. And I was really, this truly happened. I mean, they send out an engineer for everything. So basically you have the call center agent that was sitting here. She took the call, and in the old model, it was kind of like this, right? They got like calls. And this was the field engineer that was solving the problem. And everything went straight through here. So this is what we said. We said, if you be smarter in the beginning, this call center agent asks the right question, then you can already, like, frequently ask questions. Is the plug in the outlet? Or have you checked whether the ink is empty? Or have you tried and turn, actually what happens in schools a lot, this is also an observation in the call center. Schools close, no? You have a very long vacation for 2 months. Then everything starts again. And often printers do not work. And printers do not work because there's moist in the paper, which causes, when you use it for the first time after your break, which causes a paper jam. And that's very true. If you change the paper before you start the machine, everything should be fine. So we analyzed, I sat and I listened, and we analyzed all the calls, and this, like, a couple of recommendations came out of it. So actually, before we concluded, like, this is very easy, no? This is what I do. Before I did this, and this is kind of the nice part of it, so I was, I don't know, 24, just in business, and they asked me, Jordan, we have a lot of countries, Canon has a lot of, Canon in Germany, Canon in Holland, Canon in Finland, Canon in Spain. Can you go to each of our firms and ask them how they think that we can improve our process? So I went to all those countries by myself, which was a lot of fun, and I sat with the CEO of Canon in Finland, and he told me how his business was working, we drank some wine, and it was actually very nice. And I took that data, and we did this analysis, right? So it seems very easy. I'll tell you some more things that we did to make really, really big. I'm not talking about a change of a couple of, thousand souls to make it work. No, these are tens of millions of euros that you could actually save. So we're saying call agent. Let them be smarter. Let's include a frequently asked question. Let's include an online channel where they can actually look up information. The more interesting thing that we said was actually the second layer, was here. A group of people who can tell me, who do you think those people in the second layer are before they go to the engineer who goes out?
Technicians?
Exactly. Engineers. So we told these guys, the ones that are fixing, if we build a layer of engineers in the call center, it's probably highly likely that they can resolve some issues over the phone that are more technical than these guys can handle. So we call this the first tier, and this is the second tier. What do you think the biggest problem with, as I said in the beginning, implementing is the hardest thing there is. What do you think was the biggest problem here? Like, think from a people point of view. These were people that were experiencing freedom like crazy. Huh? They went to this place, to another place, and took their time. And we're telling them to sit in a call center behind a desk. They are not going to collaborate making that change. So those are the things. How can you sell them? Are you going to pay them more? Or if they don't do it, are you going to fire them? So those are the questions that we were like struggling with. And to give you an example, so as I said in the beginning, these people, the engineers, AK, Onion, were able to go to 5 clients a day if they were effective. 5 clients. These people, in the end, when the model was working, were able to do 16 calls on one day, which is equivalent to more than 3 engineers. So one was as effective as 3 out in the field. So that's a huge saving. But again, having those people here and here was an incredibly hard change for them to do. And right now, they've implemented, especially this, because then, of course, if these guys say in the call center, we will send out an engineer, it really means something is wrong with the printer, right? Because really an engineer is required. So this is a funnel, and in this funnel, a lot of calls, and only a couple will enter. This is like the last resort. And so the thing is, I was responsible for the process, and I was responsible for making like the business case. How much money can they save if they implement this in Europe? I made the business case, and then they said, Jordan, nice idea, but go and implement it because we don't think this is feasible. So I went in Europe to different countries, and we actually implemented this model, very carefully selecting the people that we have here, adjusting how much money was paid. I mean, this is a very human capital related topic. And the thing that was to increase the effectivity of the first year, for them to solve more, one of the solutions was strangely to make a competition. Like there was literally, this is like a call center. We had a board with names and how many calls they actually were able to answer and resolve. And there was like this internal competition of who could do more. And that was incredible to see. And the final thing that I would say, in order to make models like this work, requires involvement. It requires that when we were thinking about it wasn't me, it wasn't us sitting in a room saying, they should do this. No. We were sitting together with these guys. And they came up with how to implement the test. And always when you involve people in making a solution, they are more likely to accept it than if you tell them, this is what you need to do, and go and change, because it will not work. Guys, I'm going to keep it at this. This is an example of, for me, a very exciting project. For you guys, marketing is nicer. I'm happy to do that as well. But I won't. If you want more information, then me or my colleague or Deloitte are able and willing to answer any of the questions that you may have. Deloitte is a very nice company to work for. I don't know about leading, but I think they're very good. Thank you very much for your time. I hope it wasn't too boring, and good luck with all your endeavors. Please, you can stay.